Okay. So I am going to basically try my best to explain what I do, which may not necessarily be the best thing. But let's go ahead and we'll start with some context. So the upcoming patch tomorrow is going to increase Specter's outgoing healing and condition cleanse potential. It's also going to slow down the skill rotation a little bit, which I think should make this a little bit more accessible. So what I'm going to do is go over how to play Specter with those changes in mind, even though we won't see them on our skill bars today. So first of all, what is the goal of the Specter in the group? It is to provide barrier. Secondary, we provide healing, and then actually probably should have opened with this, but boons. So we really should be topping a majority of the boons. We can provide decent stability. Depending on how the fights go, we can also be topping the might charts if the fights are shorter. And then we're pretty much unbeatable when it comes to things like protection, swiftness, fury. So popping open the equipment panel, if you are following the build that was posted, great, it's already taken care of. The idea behind the equipment that's chosen there is without food or any utilities or anything like that, you want to get to 875. So I fall just short of that just because I've changed my stuff around. And if you're in the ballpark of 875, unmodified, concentration, correct. Then when you put on the creme brulee, you will be at 100% boon duration. Now, if you are short of that, if you're using all minstrels, whereas I use a ton of givers equipment instead. So if you're using all minstrels, you're going to have a lower boon duration. So you can bridge that gap with the magnanimous maintenance oil. So because I shift all my stuff towards 100% boon duration in my gear, it lets me take the bountiful maintenance oil, which is a flat percent healing increase. Percent healing increase does not apply to barrier generation, so some of it is wasted on us. And so it may or may not be the right decision, but that's just what I choose to do. So on the note of that, so food, again, mint creme brulee, if you're at that 875 mark. If you are over that, you can choose the, the fruit salad. That'll give you 70 concentration as opposed to 100. And then again, those utility choices are going to be dependent on if you're at 100% boon duration or not. Is anybody here brand new to Thief? Just the whole class?
Not entirely brand new. I played it for a while when it was the cheapy, easy pistol, but other than that, that was probably what 2-3 weeks and it's gone.
Okay, sounds good then. I'll skip over the Thief part, but just in general, Thief differs from other classes because we have initiative, which is counted by these dots at the bottom, and then our skills don't have cooldowns necessarily. Our weapon skills do not have cooldowns. They consume initiative. So right now, if we take a look at the Specter Elite Specialization, Specters have 3 less initiative than everybody else. So in the bottom panel there, you can say initiative reduced 3. That's going away tomorrow. So we'll, instead of having this level of initiative, our bar will look more like this. So we'll have higher initiative, but our skills are also going to consume more per usage. And that means we're going to have a slower rotation. So just keep that in mind. The pacing today will actually be faster than it will be tomorrow. So now let's talk about the Specter specialization mechanics. And so that's going to be our F1 and F2. So if you're familiar with Thief, you know that Thief does stealing. Stealing usually gives you an ability. That is not the case with Specter. So steal is replaced with siphon. Anywhere you're looking at traits that refer to stealing, though, that's going to apply to siphon instead. With Specter, basically all of our attack skills and siphon, they can either be used on enemies or on allies, and they do different things. When we talk about siphon in a little bit, that's going to be a pretty major point there. The other major factor for Specter is the Shadow Shroud. So Shadow Shroud works just like the Necro Shroud. You get a new health bar, you get access to different skills, and you have to charge that bar, and that's using something called Shadow Force. So we'll talk about how we generate Shadow Force in a little bit. Okay, so before we go any further, a quick housekeeping note. There is a setting you'll want to make sure you have bound. Two of them, actually. Set personal target and take personal target. So I use Control Y to set personal target. See P-Tom's over there. Control Y. It's going to make this orange crosshair appear over his head. Now nobody else can see that. It's just me. So if I set T, Control T, call the target on somebody else, that's great. Everybody can see that. But now when I hit my Take Personal Target button, which for me is mouse 4, it's going to instantly switch those. So I have a really easy way to swap targets there. Yeah, I'm toggling between. So yeah, if I just press mouse 4, it's just going to take my personal target. Now, the other thing that I bind is nearest to enemy. That is so that when I do need to target an enemy, I'm always getting the closest one. That's useful if I'm going to be doing like a leap or anything like that. I don't want to go flying into the abyss if I tab target somebody far away. So I actually bind mouse 5 to take the nearest enemy target. And so with just my 2 mouse buttons on the side, I can kind of swap back and forth there. And the main idea is actually that you're going to have your priority target. So in my case, since I'm usually in P2, that's usually going to be Tim. He is my personal target. And so whenever I'm using my abilities, it is always going to be pulling me to him. So that interplay between switching between allied and enemy targets is pretty much core to the Specter experience. So these are very helpful. Okay, so let's move on to the Specter fundamentals. So one of our most important traits, as it stands right now, will still matter tomorrow, but a little bit less. So we have Shadow Savior, which heals nearby allies when we Shadow Step. And we also have Traversing Dusk, which also heals around us when we Shadow Step. So right now we have 2 traits that are both triggering whenever we Shadow Step to heal. Now, Traversing Dusk also does a really important thing, and that is every time we Shadow Step, it is going to give us back a large chunk of our Shadow Force. So that is essentially how we are going to be managing our Shadow Force here. It's one of the 3 ways that Shadow Force can be generated, either just through using Initiative, which is terrible. It's a very minimal return rate on just using Initiative. It can be generated from siphoning from enemies, which is actually not something we are going to be doing because the benefits of siphoning on an ally are going to be much greater. They're already good today, but they're going to be even better tomorrow. And then the other most important thing about Specter is to be Baja blasting all the time. So right now we spam 2. 2 is our blast finisher. If we go into our Shadow Shroud mode, which I need to get a little bit of Shadow Force there. So inside of Shroud, 2 and 5 are going to be our other blast finishers. Now, blasting is great before combat, stacking up might for everybody. And then when we're in combat, it's also super effective. We could be adding might, you could be cleansing conditions, anything like that. Starting tomorrow, we're going to be making sure that we're blasting dark fields. When we blast a dark field, it's going to generate Dark Aura. Dark Aura is going to it's going to replace this skill. It is going to do a healing. So it's going to be Caracosa triggering. It's going to be Dark Aura healing triggering. And that Dark Aura is also going to be a condition cleanse. So healing and condition cleansing is going to get much bigger starting tomorrow. Yes, right now it's blind, which is cool, but honestly pretty useless. Yeah, but starting tomorrow, things are going to get a lot better. On this kit, yes. So just on normal weapon mode, yes, 2 is our blast finisher. When you're in Shadow Shroud, 2 and 5 are also blast finishers. Okay, so if you only had 30 seconds to learn how to play Specter, this is basically what you would do. You would charge your Shadow Force. So I need to get in combat here because you can only get Shadow Force when you're in combat. You would charge your Shadow Force by using your 3 ability and your wells. See, every time I use my Shadow Step while I'm in combat, whether that is from my 3 or if it is from any of my utilities, that's going to generate Shadow Force. Now, when we're stacked as a Zerg, this bar is going to fill up. You're going to get basically half of it every time you do a Shadow Step. So it fills very fast in combat. We are also going to make sure that we are always creating dark fields. So whether that is through our elite, through any of our other utilities, every single one of our wells is a dark field. So you don't have to worry about which one you're using to get a dark field. They're all going to be appropriate. The next thing you'll do is, once your Shadow Force is full, you're just going to spam 2 until your initiative is depleted. Now, rather than sitting here and waiting for your initiative to come back to use your skills, that's when you go into Shadow Shroud. When you're in Shadow Shroud, you've got 2, and you've got 5. Those are your blast finishers. Those are the most important ones to use. 3 and 4 are also good, though they're not critically important. You can press your 2 ability basically twice per time you're in here before you exit. And then you rinse and repeat. And you just keep rebuilding your Shadow Force. You keep using your wells to get your Shadow Force back, burning all your initiative, and going in and out of Shroud. Yeah, so it is that it burns it faster. And so, to be honest with you, I've just gotten better at it since then. But yeah, I did used to sit on 3. So there is a benefit to using 3, and I use it very conditionally. If we are taking immense amounts of damage, and I mean like when you can feel like we're losing, that is when I will back off of 2. Because the barrier you get from 3 is basically going to be 6,000 times 5, right? So 30,000 barrier per usage. I also use that on Tim right before we go in. So we stack fire fields and blast, and then right as he's about to just collide with the enemy team, I'll drop a full 3 stack on him, give him a little bit of a buffer there, and that way when he collides, he doesn't just go down instantly. That's right. So we probably won't be barrier capped if we're all spamming 2. And if we're all spamming 2, we probably won't need to use the 3 because we'll all be comfortable. So the thing is, it's actually fine. Whatever field you are blasting is going to be okay because you're going to be triggering Caracosa, which is going to heal. If you're generating Might, that's also effective. A lot of times, yeah, I honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. I would worry about it in the sense that, like, use a dark field and then start blasting if you can. If there's something else, because your fields are always going to get priority. And the problem we've been having is that we can't put out fire fields. So we have to rely on other people. So your fields always get priority. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, give me another Rosemary or anything. Yeah, give me a fire field, something to overwrite here. Yeah, so I'm still putting out blind even though his went down. So yeah, so that's going to be the huge kicker for being able to make sure that you're blasting dark fields. It's great. So each of these abilities, actually I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, resistance is one of our other strong suits. Second to a good firebrand. Okay, so now I'm going to go into some more detailed skill usage, skill by skill. So if you don't retain anything else after this point, that's fine. Just knowing the basics, which is refill your Shadow Force, expend all of your initiative, use your Shadow Shroud until your initiative is back, and rinse and repeat. Okay, so moving on to some more detailed elements here. Let's talk about the Siphon. So Siphon has a 1200 range, which is great. The barrier aspect of it has a 1200 range. The boons actually only have a 300 range. So you have to be up somebody's ass to actually get the boons on them. So, for example, if we look at Masa right there and me, if I use Siphon on him, nothing. I got the barrier on him, no boons. So when we are traversing across the map, and you want to keep swiftness on your party, you need to make sure that you are basically right next to them. Yeah, Specter has good catch-up mechanics because you can press your 3 to get a little bit closer. And then again, Siphon, just like everything else, can be used on an enemy or an ally. We want to prioritize using it on allies for a couple of reasons. With Shallow Grave, it's going to peel 2 conditions off of 5 people, so it's a 10 Condi cleanse. We'll see how useful or how much that matters moving forward with the Dark Aura blasting, but it is beneficial. So you are getting a benefit from doing that. If you use this offensively, so targeting an enemy, that's also okay. It's going to do a couple of other things for you. It's going to give you 2 initiative back, so it can help you get your initiative back when you need it. It is going to refill 25% of your Shadow Force bar. So let's say you are out of initiative, your Shadow Force is not full, your wells are on cooldown, and Steel is up. You can use it offensively to get some of that Shadow Force back. I do that when we are taking tons of damage. My Shadow Force bar is depleting basically as soon as we are, in combat, and I just don't have enough. So I use it offensively in that case. The boons that you see here apply either way. They apply for half of the duration if you target an ally, but the cooldown on Steel is also half when you're targeting an ally. So the boon per second does not change whether you choose allies or enemies. The main point here is this should always be on cooldown. Just always use it. Use it first, think about who you're targeting later. It should just always be used. Okay, so next that brings us to the Shroud. So if we mouse over the Shroud, we can see it gives you a little bit of barrier, and it ticks down at 4% per second, whatever. So if you've got your Shadow Shroud charged, hop into that, and I'll run through the skills here. So the first ability is Haunt Shot. That is just our filler. It'll give a little bit of might. It's going to give some protection. Actually, all of our Shroud skills give protection. So that's one of the reasons that my protection numbers are through the roof, is because everything I'm doing, I'm spamming 2, that gives protection. I'm spamming all of my Shroud skills, that's giving protection. It is supposed to be used, so right now, the changed notes weren't totally clear about this. Starting tomorrow, it says that this ability will heal allies. I think that what it's trying to say is it will heal allies without targeting an enemy. Right now, you have to target an enemy to get that heal. So this is a reason that I would switch to offensive targeting. Next, we've got Grasping Shadows. So this is our blast finisher. It's the first thing I hit when I go into Shadow Shroud mode. Because it is doing a blast finisher, it is cleansing conditions. The next thing I hit when I go into my Shroud mode is Mind Shock. That's number 5. This is stability. It is a CC. So if you hit Mind Shock, you will see a yellow circle appear under you. That is not visible to anybody else. And you can leave Shroud while that bar is filling up. So the skill doesn't need to fully complete before you leave Shroud. So when you get into Shroud, make sure you pop that, and you can just keep going. I'm really not sure. It is another CC. I'd say in the heat of combat, I don't really notice if I'm fearing people. I think more often than not, it doesn't actually do anything, but it does contribute to the CC numbers. But anyways, yeah, back to the skills here. So yeah, I pop 2, I pop 5, and then while I'm waiting around, that's when I'll use my 3, just because it is extra CC. It can grant extra barrier if you land it. This is another reason you would want to switch to offensive targeting. And then Eternal Night. This is a heal ability, so you have to hit with the attack in melee range for the heal to go off. So it helps to leap to the enemy and then use 4. The upside of activating 5 and then 3 is that while that stun is charging up, you are then getting closer to them, so they get CC'd by potentially both, and then you're using Eternal Night as a big heal. By then, your Grasping Shadows should be up a second time, so you can activate it one more time and exit Shroud. Yep, 2, 5, 3, 4. If 2 is not back up yet, because you've got quickness potentially, you can spam Haunt Shot at enemies, and then use 2 again and exit. Exactly right. So when you go into Shadow Shroud, basically target an enemy, use all of your stuff, and then go back to ally targeting when you exit it. The exception is if you need to steal. Well, maybe not the exception. What I do is when I need to steal while I'm in Shroud, I'll switch back to ally targeting, steal, and then go back to enemy targeting. I think because they outlined it as a change to it, and so that would lead me to believe that it's going to be a heal, not requiring hitting enemies. Yeah, all of these are actually going to do additional boons as well. So rather than all of them doing protection, some of them will do regeneration, which is worthless on a Specter. Mind Shock will do Aegis, so it'll give Specters access to that boon as well. So the boon changes for Shroud aren't really noteworthy. We may see... Yeah, they are cover boons. That's right. So nothing that I would say you need to revolve the gameplay around, but they will have extra benefits. Okay. So now let's talk about the skill bar. 1 is our filler. It is just stacking barrier up. With quickness, you can easily hit the barrier cap. Probably even without quickness, honestly. So before combat, you can just always be maxing out Shadow Bolt if you're not going to overload with Measured Shot. Ability 2 is Shadow Sap. So we talked about this one already. This is our blast finisher. It provides barrier. It provides protection. This is our priority skill. If you are ever sitting around with initiative to spare, you should basically just always be using your 2 ability. 3 is Measured Shot. So this is a 2-part skill. It's a sequence ability. So you use Measured Shot. You will teleport 2 allies. If you have an enemy targeted, you will teleport away from enemies. So you shouldn't ever really be teleporting away from enemies. You should always have allies targeted for Measured Shot. This will get you closer to whoever you have priority targeted. It'll make it easier for you to stack with everybody. It will, however, also put you in danger. So if the team is retreating and you are in the back line and you teleport to them, the team is going to run past you and you're going to end up being in the front. So you have to be really careful about using Measured Shot when we are falling back. The follow-up to Measured Shot is Endless Night. This is huge barrier output. Oh yeah? So even though Measured Shot and Endless Night are a sequence ability, oftentimes I will just use Measured Shot and not Endless Night. So I'll use Measured Shot to build Shadow Force, but I won't burn the extra initiative on Endless Night if we're doing fine. So again, I will follow through with Endless Night if we are in dire need of a big barrier boost. It is also useful on people who are already downed, so it can stop them from getting just ground out. Because you can put barrier on people who are down. Yeah, it gives the team an extra second to get that res off. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. And we'll keep the other Specters in Shroud longer too now, if we're stacking Specters. Oh, no, you're good. Actually, I was going to go back to 2 and talk about the difference here. So with 3 spamming, it's going to be efficient from an initiative perspective because the actions themselves are slower, which is part of the reason I switched from spamming 3 to 2 spamming, because that's just a faster way to get rid of your initiative. So we'll have to see how tomorrow goes because we're going to have 3 more initiative. Our skills are going to use more initiative, and what that means is we're going to be in Shadow Shroud for a longer period of time while we wait for that to recharge. Instead of being 10 seconds to refill initiative, it's going to be 13. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. So the healing, so it's not going to do more healing for this skill. I meant when I said the healing is going to go for Specter, it's more like it's going to be because Dark Aura is going to generate a heal for us. So it'll basically be like double Caracosa, which is insane already. Okay, so 4 and 5, you never want to use these. 5 just eats through all of your initiative. If you come out of Shroud and you use 5, it sucks. It's not fun. You can't rebuild your Shadow Force. It is a very unfortunate mistake. It happens, though. It happens to me all the time when we are taking tons of damage. You can get knocked out of Shadow Shroud. So if you're in the middle of your Shroud rotation and you're about to hit 5 to get that juicy Mind Shock, but you get knocked out of it, you're going to use Black Powder instead. It's going to put down a smoke field, which sucks. It's going to use all your initiative, which sucks. So you don't want to use these intentionally, but it does happen. Oh, yeah, you can. That is a good call out. It's going to go from 8 to 7. So rather than taking 80% of your initiative, it's only going to take like a little over half because we'll have more initiative as well. The other nice thing about Shadow Refuge is it works like Veil. So you can put all 40 people in the squad. They can run through Shadow Refuge and get stealthed. Each pulse only affects 5 people, so you'll only provide the extra 2.5 seconds to 5 people. So the reason that Shadow Refuge, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, is insane is because it triggers Shadow Embrace on everybody who goes into it, removing a damaging condition. And if you're using, what is it? Oh yeah. Right now, Cover of Shadow. So never mind. This doesn't even apply to the patch tomorrow anymore. But yeah, it basically you can peel a condition and provide barrier to everybody who goes into it. Okay, so yeah, let me go through the utility skills now. So first of all, every single one of our utility skills is a dark field. So you don't have to worry about which dark field you use. You just want to make sure you use one of these in the most appropriate situation before we start blasting. So for our heal, Well of Gloom, this is actually it's a pretty mediocre heal. It's 5 pulses of 750. So it's not like game changing. It's not a spike heal or anything like that. But it's another dark field. It's a somewhat heal. And all of our wells are going to also provide resistance. The next utility is Well of Silence. So Well of Silence is a daze on impact, and then each second for 5 seconds, it's going to remove 1 condition for up to 5 allies. So it is an additional source of Condi Cleanse. Also probably going to go away out of this build tomorrow, and it will probably be substituted with Seal Area. Multiple Specters running Seal Area is going to go pretty crazy because Seal Area is also a dark field. It is a 20-person target limit, hard crowd control. It is a projectile destroyer, and the cooldown on it starts as soon as you lay the trap, not as soon as you activate it. So if we're playing defensively, we can stack up a bunch of these and then use them twice in a row. And also, it's just a huge area. Yeah. So Seal Area is really strong. It's honestly probably going to replace Well of Gloom tomorrow for us. Or sorry, not Well of Gloom, Well of Silence. All right. Next one is Well of Bounty. This is our huge stab output, so 80% of my stab numbers come from using Well of Bounty. It has a lot of boons listed. Those don't all happen each pulse. They happen sequentially. So the impact is going to provide stability. The next pulse is going to be Might, then Fury, then Vigor, Regen. The resistance, yeah. So it is good. obviously that initial pulse is the most important one to land. So if we're on the run, you want to make sure that you land that. And if we run out of it, it's not as big of a deal. You're just losing the cover boons. The resistance does happen immediately with the impact as well. So you're getting stability and resistance. So Well of Bounty is it's probably the strongest of the utility skills, just because of everything that it does. But we're providing Fury, Vigor, and Might through every other avenue, and then our regen is absolutely going to be overwritten, as it should be, by somebody else. Or actually, maybe it won't if we're not running any druids. We'll see. But one in each subgroup, we should have coverage. Okay, next we've got Shadow Refuge. So we've already talked about this one. It is a heal on people who are up and down. It pulses a 5% res per second, even though the skill does not say that. So this is your bring the team back. It's stealth, so you get reses off. It breaks targeting. It's just a really, really powerful defensive skill. If you leave the Shadow Refuge before it is over, you automatically get revealed, meaning you can't go back in it and get the rest of it. So if you see a Shadow Refuge, if you need to be in it, don't leave it. It's a dark field, so it's going to let us blast in it. In combat, you're going to get out of stealth anyways instantly, so it's just a really strong heal ability. It's honestly, it's like a better heal ability than Well of... I don't. It is glitched. There's something about it that does not work. I've looked at the logs. I've tracked the hits versus skill casts. There's something really goofy, and it doesn't happen in normal world versus world for me. It only happens when we're raiding, and I don't know if it's like a target density issue or a lag issue. But
Yeah, I'm not getting anything.
well, you're getting the regen. So all of that landed on you. But in world versus world, its main benefit is actually not that it does the resistance. It is a huge heal. It can heal 7,000 over that cast. But I swear to God, it just never connects in combat. So I don't prioritize it. If you have it, you can use it while you're waiting for initiative to come back or something like that. But I honestly wouldn't worry about trying to land that as part of your mechanics. Okay, and then the last one is Shadowfall. Shadowfall is a weaker version of Gravity Well, but it should be used at the same time that Tim calls for wells, or whoever's driving calls for wells. It's going to provide resistance to everybody in the area because it's a well, so it has allied benefits as well. It's a shadow step, so it'll be a slight heal. But basically, it's just 3 seconds of a pulsing pull. Other things to note. Where's my Nary at? All right, Nary, drop me a fire field. 2, F2, 2, 5, F2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So when we're stacking fire fields in Blast, use Shadow Sap to spend some initiative. Go into Shroud, use the 2 and the 5 Blast, exit Shroud, and then continue burning down all of your initiative with Shadow Sap. That should get you to basic 24, to 24 might stacks. So assuming anything else, like siphoning from an ally, for example, that's going to get your subgroup to 25 stacks, and you're going to stay there for 20 seconds, something like that. And by then, all of that has come back. Yeah, which is why it is very critically important that we don't have roads in those fire fields. That happened a lot yesterday, actually, and so we had some engages where we went in with 5 might in subgroup 2. So if you are driving and you do see roads in the stack, make sure that you move off of the roads, because the Specter is going to be locked onto you, and their blast finishers are going to be wherever you are standing. AKA, this is directed at you, Tim. No, Roads is really good. Roads, as soon as we leave the fire field, is amazing. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But so placing the trap and then activating it. There's a 3-second arm time. Having used this before, our fights stay in one spot for more than 3 seconds a lot of times. So
Oh,
you do have to manually activate seal area.
right, right.
So that is the difference there. But
But
I've
it's a 300 second.
yeah I've used seal area to keep people from getting into the cap ring and suicide tower, for example. Like you put it on the bridge, a couple people trying to get in, they just can't. So it's a really good defensive lockdown. And then once we're engaging, if you go in with Shadowfall and then place seal area immediately, that's gonna it honestly basically it ends immediately because it hits 20 targets like right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's got an arm time and then it's an instant activation. The other benefit is if it does not expire immediately, if they move or we're just not getting enough hits with it, it's an 8-second long dark field, which also allows us to be blasting dark aura, giving us healing and condition cleanse. So I'm saying it out loud. It's going to be seal area instead of well of silence. Yeah, it definitely stacking multiple seal areas would be very abusive. Um, Keep in mind, stability, one stack can only be removed every 0.75 seconds, so if they are quick with it, they can get through a bunch of seal areas. If you've got, 2, 3 stacks of stab. So just keep that in mind. It's not foolproof, but it is. I've seen the numbers and the logs. It goes pretty crazy. Anyways, yeah, if you activate it, say we've set it 30 seconds ago, we go down to fight Lord, then they come push us. You can pop seal area and then deploy it again immediately with a 3-second arm time again and pop it again. So it feels broken, like something we should definitely abuse before they change that. But what this does mean for the Specter, though, having now access to blasting dark fields and that being our priority, we may end up having lower might in extended engagements because we're not going to be blasting incidental fields like fire. We might not be cleansing as many. Well, actually, we will be cleansing as many conditions. Never mind. So really, we might just have less might output because we'll be more focused on blasting dark fields.